All right, class, today we're going to be working on chapter 17, and that has to do with the number line, fractions, and mixed numbers. I know we already went over the number line, but we only covered whole numbers, and we're going to talk about fractions and mixed numbers today. All right, so here's the number line. There's 0, the origin. To the right, as we go to the right, the numbers get larger, and as we go to the left, the numbers get smaller. So everything to the right of -2 is larger than -2. Everything to the left of +2 is smaller than that. So I'm sure you guys understand that. We have 1, 2, -1, -2. But these aren't the only things on the number line. In between 0 and 1, we have 1/2. Okay? Oh, that's pretty small in there. Anyway, hopefully you can see it. That's 1/2. On this side, we have 1/2, only because it's on to the left of 0, it's negative. So that's -1/2. So there's a bunch of numbers, infinite amount of numbers actually, in between every whole number and every integer. So, what about over here? Is this 1/2? Kind of. It's actually, the distance from there to there is 1, 2, 3 halves, which reduces to 1 and 1/2. So in between those two numbers is 1 and 1/2. On this side, it is same thing. That's 1, 2, 3 halves away from 0, but it's to the left, so it's -1/2. All right, so there's a bunch of numbers on here that you don't label every number every time, but they are actually there. All right, so let's talk about this section of the number line, from there to there. I'm going to redraw that. All right, I don't know if you can see the little orange dots. They don't show up very well on the whiteboard and when I'm filming. But anyway, here I've blown up this section of the number line so it's a lot larger, so we can put more numbers in there. So here's 0, here's +1/2, +1. In between 1/2 and 0 is 1/4. Okay? This is 1/4, 2/4. In between 1/2 and 1 is 3/4. So that is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. 4/4 is 1. If you remember how to some information on fractions, you know that anything over itself, 4/4 is 1. You can have 5/5, and that will equal 1. You can have x over x, and that equals 1. Anything over itself equals 1. Alrighty, so here's the same number line. I kind of erased some stuff and made it a little bit bigger so you can see it better. We have a 0, we have a 1. Remember, that was one section of the number line that I blew up. And now we're talking about fractions and mixed numbers. So we can keep dividing the line, dividing it as much as we need. So let's go one more. What's halfway in between 0 and 1/4? Well, that happens to be 1/8. So that's 1/8, 2/8. Remember, 1/4 is equal to 2/8. 1/4 and 2/8 are one and the same. Okay? The next one is 3/8. Right here, 1/2 is 4/8. Remember, 4/8 reduces to 1/2. A lot of this, the number of fractions and number line stuff, you have to have a good number sense when it comes to fractions. Halfway in between 1/2 and 3/4 is going to be, well, this is 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. 1/2 is 4/8. The next one is going to be 5/8. All right. The next one is 6/8. 6/8 equals 3/4. And the last one is 7/8. And we already talked about anything over itself is 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 is the same as 8/8. Alright. Alright, so let's talk about the other end of the number line. We have 0 at this end, and then as we go to the left, the numbers and fractions get they're negative. So halfway in between 0 and -1 is -1/2. Then we have -1/4 and -3/4. Then we have our eighths. We have -1/8, -3/8, -5/8, and -7/8. So there's the negative side of the number line. Keep in mind, if you keep going, you're going to have -1 and 1/8 right there, and it just keeps going. Alright, so not all number lines are divided exactly the same. This number line right here is divided into fifths. You might say, Mr. Mazzone, why is it divided into fifths? There's only 4 lines in between each whole number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, when you get a different color here, when you are dividing up a number line, you look at the number of spaces in between the lines, not the number of lines. So we have 1 space right there. I don't know if you can see it. Let me get a different color. Some of these colors don't work very well. So we have 1 space right here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 spaces. So this is divided into fifths. So if I were to put a big mark right there and say, what is the mixed number that would go along with that? We know that it's 2 is our whole number. 2 and how many fifths? Well, that's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. Right there is 2 and 3/5. Alright, so I drew out a couple black lines, and then I drew a ruler right by the black line. So let's look at this first black line, from there to there, this line. Okay, so where are we? How many inches? And let's measure that to the exact 1/4 of an inch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, but the line doesn't quite go to 4, so we know that this is 3 inches and some change. So let's see, this is 1/4, this is 1/2, and this is 3/4. Remember, count the spaces, not the lines. So this is 1, 2, 3/4. Usually the quarter right past a half is 3/4. So this is going to be 3 3/4 of an inch. Here's another line. Let's do this one. So we have 1, 2 inches, but this black line goes a little bit past 2 inches. So let's go 2 inches, and it goes only 1/4 past. So this is 1/4 past. Alright, our unit of measurement. Last line, this black line right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, and then it is 1 2/4 past. So I'm going to put 1/2, which is 2/4 if you remember. Alright, so that's pretty much all we're going to talk about today for a number line, and that's all a tape measure is. A tape measure is just a number line rolled up that we use to measure things. So hopefully that helps and makes sense. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.